It's boom time for Kurdistan's oil industry. 5 years ago, the oil map of this semi-autonomous region of northern Iraq was blank. Now, foreign oil companies are flocking into the region, finding new oil fields and bringing hopes that Kurdistan could, in the future, become a big oil producer on its own. This is not an ecological disaster. Here, in the Kurdistan region of northern Iraq, oil flows out of the ground naturally. The region is producing about 150,000 barrels a day, but the government wants to increase that to 1 million barrels a day in 5 years' time. Over the course of a week, I traveled across the Kurdistan region of Iraq to check whether the hopes of the government and many oil executives are for real. The development of the Kurdistan oil industry comes at a time of rising tensions in the Middle East, which is boosting oil prices above $110 a barrel. Optimists hope the region could soon reach the 1 million barrels a day target, pumping more oil than OPEC members such as Ecuador and Qatar. But pessimists say that the complicated relationship between Erbil, the capital of the region, and Baghdad will hamper the development. I traveled to Erbil to see what the reality is. Erbil is experiencing its own boom. Critics complain that Erbil has yet to build a decent hospital, but it already has a luxury hotel, and 3 more are planned to cater for oil executives traveling to Kurdistan. The relationship between Erbil, the capital of the Kurdistan regional government, and the federal government in Baghdad is key for the future of the oil in the region. Erbil and Baghdad must agree on the long-awaited Iraqi petroleum law, which has been delayed since 2007. Without it, production is limited this year to 170,000 barrels a day. Government officials in Kurdistan are betting that a deal will be done this year.
Iraq needs a federal oil and gas law to enable the real launching of the oil sector. And as I said in my speech, 8 years on, export levels are still far too low from what Iraq needs.
One game changer could be the arrival of ExxonMobil, the first supermajor in the region, which recently signed an exploration contract. Tony Hayward, the former chief executive of BP and now an investor in the region's oil industry, is keeping tabs on the situation.
I think if you look at the trend of what's happened in Kurdistan over the last 2 or 3 years, it's clear that things are moving on here, and they will continue to move on whether there is or whether there is not a hydrocarbon law in place.
But rather than speed up the process of Iraq's agreement with the Kurds, some fear that the arrival of the supermajors could damage relationships and delay the petroleum law. Outside Erbil, oil companies are still pouring millions of dollars into new projects. I traveled farther north, near the border with Turkey and Syria, to visit one of the pioneering investments by DNO, a company that arrived in Kurdistan more than 5 years ago. After good initial progress, companies such as DNO are discovering now that northern Iraq is rich on oil, but its geology is far more complex than in the south.
Because of this locked circulation we've got, it's got very expensive. You know, I mean, other places it depends on the formation. You can't say that. You could go in a different part of Kurdistan and find different formation and it would be nice and smooth. Here we could say we were unlucky enough to have a lot of lost circulation, so it's made it expensive and difficult to control.
DNO and rival companies such as Genel Energy have until now overcome all the difficulties since they arrived in the region in 2004. If they are able to navigate the political obstacles, the promises of the oil of Kurdistan could become a reality. Javier Blas, Financial Times, Kurdistan.